ladies. How are you?
Hi, Tatiana.
I'm doing great. I had so much fun watching Pretty Smart and like being taken back to the olden days of like multicam, laugh track.
Mhm.
What was it like
Yeah.
for the both of you to experience that form of, I don't even know, like acting? Like, how different is it for you to approach the character when there's several cameras at once? Olivia.
Well, Emily's a pro, and she's been doing this since she was a little bitty baby. And thank God I had her. This big. And thank God I had her because this was my first time doing multicam. I'm a theater girl, and in my mind I was like, it'll be the exact same thing, right? And it's certainly not. In many ways, there's similarities, and that's great. But there's a certain awareness of the camera that I was just getting used to, and having someone there who knows her shit. No better way to say it, was so incredibly helpful.
I can only imagine. It's like, don't look at the camera, but there are so many cameras. How many to not look at?
Right?
There is one moment in season one where Olivia, it's the spa episode where you're like,
I know.
Bonding day with my sister, but where? And you look right out and you spike camera, and I'm like, please keep that in. That's incredible. And I think it was so, oh my God, it made me laugh.
I said to them
hard.
I said, I looked into camera, don't.
Yeah, but it was like the perfect moment to do it. It made me laugh. I watched it, I'm like, please, yes!
It's sprinkled appropriately. It's like the right time for it.
There's also no rules with multicam. Yeah. I mean, and yeah, the mechanics of multicam, once you have that down, it feels much easier. But I have been doing this a while, and I will tell you that having to turn off that is tough. I'm working on a movie right now, and I constantly find myself turning out to camera, and they're like, you can turn your back to camera. I'm like, I can't. Oh, that's so nice. So it kind of relief. Yeah. But yeah. I mean, and Olivia's not giving herself enough credit. I mean, everybody was marvelous on this. It was so easy to work with. And Greg, who I'm sure you will speak to, I hope, at some point today. Greg's a multicam boy as well. I'm a multicam boy too.
Multicam boy.
We won't gender specify. But he's been doing this a long time as well, and he's just marvelous. I mean, everybody really honed in on their thing, and it was so wonderful to see over the course of a few months.
And everyone had such fabulous chemistry too. Like, I really believe Claire and her friends, and then also Chelsea coming in, and clashing, but at the same time, getting closer and closer. Speaking of, the sisters get to know each other, over the course of this season. And Chelsea comes in with a very different interpretation of who she believes Claire is. Can you talk about like bridging that gap between the sisters?
Yeah, for me, yeah, absolutely. I didn't grow up with a sister. Olivia has, I think, 25 sisters.
Yeah, that's right.
A little different for her, but
I
have four. That's a lot. I wish I had one. Yeah. So I'm always grateful when I get to play a character that has a sister, because that energy I didn't have growing up, but it's such a lovely refresher. And you're taking one character that grew up a certain way, and another character that grew up a different way, ironically both in the same household but divided, and bringing them back together at a really interesting time in their life, and they're trying to manage themselves and also their relationship and figuring out what's important and what's necessary. And Chelsea just gets dropped into this world she doesn't understand, and she judges it off the bat. And it's a really good lesson for all of us that can't judge a book by its cover immediately. You have to get to know someone and experience, and it changes her. She unbuttons a little bit, and she needs that desperately. I mean, my God, that blazer, the first scene, it's too tight, it's
a lot of layers.
It's true. And, no matter how many books you have read, the first instinct is always to judge them by their cover. So see, it's a constant unlearning.
You really nailed that one. That was a good
Thank you.
Take that away.
No, Olivia, Claire and Grant had had a relationship, but still obviously have a lot of love for each other. Can you talk about, that relationship, and then also Chelsea's existence maybe complicating it?
Right. I think the thing about Grant and Claire is that they found each other very early in life, and you're just not going to necessarily end up with that person who you're dating in your 20s when you're just getting to know yourself, even though they have so many similarities. I think they both just realize like, look, we have a lot of love for each other. Why we don't need to be together to love each other. They're really good friends. And I think that they're both very grateful to have that. Obviously, they've turned that into a little mini family because relationships can obviously complicate things. And I think the inherent purity of those characters is I would rather not risk it. I'd rather have you in my life right now. And with Chelsea coming in, I mean, I think you see that Claire's pretty naive to what Chelsea is feeling, but I know that obviously, and you see that Claire would do anything for her sister. And yeah, I don't know what else to say without saying too much.
I do. For her sister. Yes, I love what you said about like the purity of those characters, because I do think that like it's just so wholesome. The show is so wholesome because Chelsea walks in and finds these people who are just so loving, even when they are so weird. So I cannot wait for everyone to watch and fall in love with this little family of housemates. Thank you guys so much.
Us too.
Thank you.